If instead of destroying it, I cannot think of a better way to transform bad emotions, such as sadness, fear, of anger, that we feel in the face of the climate crisis and environmental crisis. I cannot think of a better way to transform them into a positive action, the one that feeds 8 billion people on Earth, the basic activity we need to survive, agriculture. So thank you so much. And talking about another, I will jump to Sonia first, because I would like you to be the closing then. Sonia, another key activity we need for our daily survival is buildings. We are here inside a building, we sleep, if we are lucky, inside a building. It's all surrounded, it makes the big amount of our cities, but unfortunately, architecture is also a big contributor to the climate and environmental crisis. You, Sonia, are an expert in healthy architecture, which is a game changer. For many, this connection between buildings and planetary health might not be so obvious. So could you explain us a little bit how your daily activities relate to positive actions to the environment or the climate?
Sure. Thanks, Irene. As Maria already introduced a little bit, there's a lot of relations between architecture, health, the medicine world. So I'm going to try to just spread a few ideas. So nowadays, Europe, I don't know if you know about it, but it's promoting a process of decarbonization of all the construction sector. So we know that buildings are large consumers of energy, and that's why from the last years the sector has been promoting a reductions of the emissions that the building made during their life. But there's a new focus, which is focused on the materials. So it results that also all these materials we build, these processes also have a very not good life cycle. So now the new focus is on it. But the main focus is, in any case, it's carbon. So the environmental approach through architecture nowadays, it's carbon. But we are talking about One Health. And we know there are so many other indicators beyond carbon. Of course, we have to integrate it, but we have to have a very large point of view. So there's another indicators like water resources, also related to soil, materials, where do they come from? Also, for example, vulnerability, because all day we have seen that in Nigeria or some other countries, so the repercussions that all these machines are working on are very different from, like, for example, in here. But above all, I also would like to introduce the chemical impact that, in this case, materials have. Because after the Industrial Revolution, the chemical industry has impacted on the construction system because we have some additives that improves mechanical, physical resistance, performance of materials, and these chemical substances have helped to improve some processes of architecture, but now we realize, but not now, but for the last years, we realize that this has an impact also in our environment because some of those additives are produces microplastics and they are bioaccumulative, endocrine disruptors. So these new European energy efficiency directives from Europe continue to be focused on these greenhouse gas emissions, but in parallel, there's going on some other regulations related to health, like, for example, the Eco-Design Directive. That points straight, for example, to paints and finishing surfaces because they are producers of the 4% of the microplastics we can find in oceans. They come from paints. So there's kind of points related to architecture and some other indicators. So therefore, these directives are not translated into law right now, but we are pushing that all these comes, not just the environmental or carbon point of view, but some of these other indicators related to architecture and health. And meanwhile, because we can, okay, so we will wait till this comes and till we have no law, we can keep going. No, in the meantime, we have a lot of things we can do from architecture to help on health, on healthy people and healthy environment. For example, by the use of biomaterials, real biomaterials, not like mainstream something that now it's trendy. Everything it's biomaterial. No, like real biomaterials. So specific, this natural origin, no additives. It's like in the soil. We don't want chemicals, or neither in architecture. Not those chemicals that we have, that we know which are their response. But also we have to think about, we have a lot of biomaterials like mineral or vegetal fibers such as earth, clay, wood, lime, hemp, a lot more. And also we have to introduce some other good practices like biocompatible chronological lighting, correct air quality, cognitive perception. So there are a lot of issues. And there's already things done with all this. I mean, we can work with it. And in the recent times, for example, I've been lucky to participate in some publications and tools related to integrate these health and architecture issues. In the Association of Architects from Catalonia, there's a web tool called Healthy Interior Spaces that I contributed to, and it wants to sensibilize and give tools to architects to design with these healthy systems or design ideas. Also, for example, there's Incasol. Incasol is a public, is an institution from the government of Catalonia that does public housing, and I write for them this guide that helps architects to introduce health approach by constructing or designing how healthy public housing. So it's interesting that a public company has this sensitivity to introduce these characteristics into public housing. And of course, there's a lot of formation and sensibility in architecture. So my final resume is that architecture, I defend it as a tool of public health. There's a lot we can do from architecture to improve health of people, and hopefully I like, for example, all the relation with SOXA, so I also want to agree SOXA, because they allow this multisectoral and this diversity between architects, economics, doctors, medicine. So we have to work real together to improve this goal, but we have the tools, so we really need to join more and push it.
Thank you, Sonia, for the very comprehensive approach on how to connect health and architecture. Now to you, Daniel. You conduct many workshops and traineeships, also speeches at different universities and lectures. And part of the focus of your work is to transform eco-anxiety into active hope, which suits very well to the title of this panel. Please explain us how exactly do you do that complicated action of transforming eco-anxiety into active hope?
Well, first of all, thank to all of us to be here trying to make a better world. I'm going to talk about a methodology from Joanna Macy. It's called The World That Reconnects. It's a methodology that has been developed for the last 40 years in that it's social innovator labs or hubs called eco-villages, that are these communities around the world that live together, and they develop these kind of practices like the nonviolent communication, and also that methodology called the work that reconnects, that also we call it now cultural regenerative cultures, no? Like there is agricultural regenerative, so we have to regenerate also the culture, no? So it has 4 steps. I will try to explain it so fast. The first one is to really open the heart with the state of mind of gratefulness, to be on grace, for the gratefulness for life, the gratefulness and the sense of wonder for the cosmos, for the place we are living, for the network of living systems that we belong, to be grateful for the oxygen that the vegetal world, the trees are giving to us all the time, and we are breathing in this interconnected with the vegetal world. So be grateful for all the living systems that we are in, and that it's also to bring that sense of eros, to take care of the living systems, no? All this gratefulness, all the biophilia, no? So when we establish that strong feeling with different practices that we do in the workshops, then we go to the second step, that is the clue, that is the work of grief. In other cultures, they do that work on grief, and they work in groups to work that emotions, no? So we have to do the work on the grief for the ecosystems that we are losing, no? For all the possibility, like we see Greta and all the generation Zeta, that maybe if we don't change, could be the last generation on Earth of humans, no? If we don't change. And Joanna Macy says the possibility of extinction of human life is the fundamental psychological reality of our time, no? And also she says we have to be present with our world, but not present only cognitive. We have to be present with the heart, no? So to face that emotions, to embrace it, not to reject it like if eco-anxiety is something wrong, that we have to take a pill. Where, there is something that we know that for studies that paracetamol, if we study, it has the capacity to reduce our empathy and to reduce the capacity to feel for the pain of the world, no? So, and it's one of the most recommended medicines, no? Paracetamol. And it has that capacity to reduce. And it's the contrary. We need to open empathy. We need to open that love, that heart for the world. And we do it with that dynamics that we put in the shoes of the animals that are losing the ecosystems, and we try to be the heart of them and connect with in imaginary visualizations or meditation, like how these animals are feeling losing their ecosystems, how the next generation, how the future generations will stand in this world that is collapsing, no? And to talk imaginary with them and try to empathy with that future generations. That is a job that, for example, a philosopher, Hans Jonas, it worked with this, or Thich Nhat Hanh, Leonard Boff, other people say we need to feel in our heart what is happening in the world, no? And not reject it. But of course, it's not to stay in that emotions. It's just to pass it away. Not because if we don't face that emotions, what happened? Denial. Denial is the first of the grief cycle, and many people is in that point of denial of what is really happening. No, so we need to do that process of grief to go beyond denial and go beyond sadness, beyond rage, and really do creative things. And creative things is the third step. The third step is that some authors say the crisis of perception of what is our relation with natural world. Because we treat the world as a garbage, as an object. We treat the animals like objects that we can use, we can close in places, and then, we treat badly. And so the network of living systems is a communion of subjects. We have to see nature as a communion of subjects. We need to work for the rights of nature, that more and more, but for that we need to do it with motivation, no? And understand that they have consciousness, they have language, they have culture, they have intelligence, all these animals, no? So we need to recognize animals like part of these living systems, like take care of them, no? But for that is love that we need, and for that we need this kind of practices to get empathy with them. And of course, all that is to understand also the deep time. Deep time is all the thousands, millions of beings that has been behind us to make that us to be here. Humans and non-humans, no? In that long line of evolution that we are now taking this this fire for the next ones, no? But we have to do this with a strong motivation, with a strong love that is, I think, what is most lacking in this world, no? So to feel that, to empathize with the animal world, to empathize with the next generation, to come. And then the fourth step, when we have done all this emotional process, in groups, in dynamics, in practices, in meditations, if you want, then we do the practical thing, that is, what can we change, no? Individually and collective, in which collective we can participate, because another part of changing that way of seeing the world, that is the third part, the eco-philosophy, no? In that spiral of 4 steps, the third part of changing is to see the community that we are, our identity. We have to go out of this Eurocentric and anthropocentric and also start what Joanna Macy calls the ecological self, to identify with what the mountains that are there. If there is not these trees giving oxygen, we are not. So how can we define ourselves without these trees? No? Our identity is strongly with these trees, with these mountains, with these oceans. No? So to open this identity of humans, to connect more with this, and this is a process, no, to go out of the egocentrism, no, and then to do new practices of economy, new practices of cosmovision. That is the important thing that also we need to change, no, to change the cosmovision and also listen to other cultures, no. And with this, I will finish. Just say that if anyone wants to organize a workshop on that I say, just contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I think it's so important to differentiate between passive hope and active hope. Many people reject hope because they say this is like sitting back with the arms crossed and wait for Elon Musk to find a solution. And of course, I would reject that as well if that was the case. But without active hope, we cannot move forward. And I think for that, eco-anxiety, I like to say, is like the best renewable and carbon-free fuel. I don't know if, yes, of course.
Active hope, Joanna said that hope is not something that is because we know that the result will be positive. Hope is because it's the only thing we can do, because it's the thing that we have to do for the children, for the life. No? So this is a practice. And when we do practices to change, then we really get that hope. It's like compassion. When we do something for others, we feel better. So active hope is something similar. No?
It's the only way we can do. That's I think the summary of this. Are there any questions from the room? I know everyone is very active and not looking forward at all to go for a beer, so thank you. Maybe you speak up, if that's okay.
Okay. Oh, no.
Really useful, yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
And for hope. But I especially liked Francesc's talk, and my question is, because I didn't know this concept of regenerative agriculture, that is a big solution. I believe you, no? But how are we going to change? No, why it's so difficult to change? What a conventional farmer, no, is he going to invest money? Is he going to lose money in the beginning, or what is the main barrier, no, to change to this new way of doing?
Thank you for the question. It's a big, interesting question. The main barrier is on the mind, always on the mind of the farmer, and I'm talking as a farmer. But it's true that in the first year, in the second year, the production is decreasing. Why? Because it's obvious, no? If you spend chemical fertilizers here for the plants, when you stop, you don't have microorganisms on the soil, so you need some time, 1 year, 2 years. But more and more people are trying to do more and more. Now the last month, for example, big enterprises. I'm working as a consultancy for example, Danone, PepsiCo, working on regenerative agriculture, trying to apply regenerative agriculture. So that is good. I think more and more people are going to try to do regenerative agriculture. But the main thing is always on the mind.
Hello. Well, thanks for those two last tables, because we are leaving this spectacular Congress with positive emotions because we have so much data, but as well we need positive things that what we can do as individuals. What I'm wondering is that now that all the people is committed to live in cities in the next future, and how could we make them more close or more related with nature? Because there are some kids that then don't have the possibility maybe just to go to walk to the trees, to the mountains, and then feel, what the trees are, or look to the living animals that are there and take care of them, and how to educate people. That if you go to the mountain, just don't leave trash, recollect everything, just take care of the living systems that cohabit it. So I think that it's something that we should as well teach to them. What could we do?
Sonia, maybe do you want to
Well,
go ahead?
as Francesc said, it's also on our minds. For example, cars. So here in Barcelona, we know about Consell de Cent. We know this street that has transformed into a pedestrian street. And recently, we know, that's a long story, but taking cars from the city is a problem, because maybe I feel eco-anxious, but I want to go by car everywhere. That has to be one thing with the other in my mind, no? So we start to be reasonable with what we want and what we do. And maybe there are some actions that are not popular, that don't gain votes, no? So, but we have to go through that. So taking cars from the city will be it's a big issue, but it's one of the main problems, because we can transform all those freeways into green areas, where pedestrians or other mobile active ways can have its space, and it's something that technically we can do it. There's no technical problem. Of course, we could think about how these big cities that are increasing, how do we feed them with food, with energy. There are some other, but technically we have the solution. But we have solutions, partial solutions, but the problem is on our minds. And sometimes it's not political, but also we need some laws that gives place for that to happen. But we have to think about what can we do tomorrow. So no taking the car, going back by. If no one takes cars in the city, then we can transform streets tomorrow.
Thank you, Sonia. I think Daniel, but shortly, because we also have another question.
Yes, of course. Also for Childs, David Attenborough and his documentaries and Supernatural from Disney, there is so many things from nature, from symbiosis between species that we don't know, and that I'm surprising every time I see new symbiosis in different species, and what is nature doing for these millions and millions of years. It is helpful also for children, for loving nature. No? Also going to nature, but staying at home doing David Attenborough is good.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, thank you very much for all your speakers. It was really great. I hope I will have given you my time of speaking so you will have more. It was really interesting. Our lab works and myself for more than 20 years in tropical forest. And we have hammered our heads to try to find solutions that you have spoken. We know agricultura regenerativa, sintrópica, ecoaldea, eco-construction. For some reason, in the places I've been working, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, Chile, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Gabon, for some reason, we try those systems and we can't make it work. With the farmers, we can't make it work. The farmers tell us the land for agroforestal coffee that we thought was a solution, and cacao, they said the land will give you what it gives you. Find me somebody who pays €5 a libra of coffee, and you will sell it, and we will have trees for your monkeys, etc. What are we missing? In eco building, we try in Chile to build, in my own house, an affordable house for less than 20,000 euros. 20,000 euros is a lot. We said COP houses are being built for 1,500 in the UK. It's too expensive. We can. But we need it for affordable people. We can. What are we missing? Hopefully you can give us some light of why the market is hammering us. I don't think it's a mind thing. I think something that we're missing, that we cannot make those connections with what you do. We try, and something is stopping us. I hope you understand my message, but...
Yeah, go ahead.
At the end, all is about the money. All is that run the world. So agriculture is about the money, and the solution is relationship with the consumers. So if we are starting to buy organic, biological, regenerative products, it will go on. If not, not. And it's true that at the beginning the farmers used to need some help, because the farmers are not the bad persons, only want to live as always, no? Need to feed the children. But I think that the key point is the consumer. For me, it's the farmer as well, but the consumer and the money, of course. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we see there are a lot of struggles, but we want here to give you a positive vibe before leaving this room. And I can see Cristina beside me. She works on microplastics in oceans. I don't think that gives a lot of hope, right? Because microplastics are rising every day. But I would like each of you to give us one line of what gives you hope. Cristina.
Okay, that give me hope is people, because with time I'm seeing that more and more people is aware of what is happening, of the problem of the planet, and of taking the urgency of taking action. And for example, we have seen one example is the plastic, that maybe 10 years ago nobody paid attention to the plastic, and suddenly it started to appear in all the media, and now many people is aware of that, and many people is worried about that. So I think that's why it's very important, the communication, and also that all these problems appear in the media. So that's why, to me, the hope is the people, and especially young people is the hope.
Power to the people. Francesc.
Okay. Today, more and more people know the relationship between food and healthy people. And I think here with these people that are more and more every year, there is a big opportunity to explain the relationship with food and healthy planet, the healthy of the planet. And I think this is the work that we need to do now today.
Thank you. Daniel, what gives you hope?
Yes, at the moment there is a lot of movement for dreaming the future, dreaming ecotopia, dreaming the utopia instead of dystopias. So, for example, Kim Stanley Robinson with the Ministry of the Future, there is this novel that it's very nice, or Richard Powers, that I don't know in English, but has a novel of eco-literacy that for the trees, the scream of the forest, or something like that in English. And it's very nice how much this movement of eco-literacy of these novels are at the moment imagining new futures like solar punk, for example.
I love your cultural recommendations. Sonia, your turn.
architecture gives me hope because we live in architecture every day. We live in interior spaces, we live in public areas, and if we really have the chance to transform these places we're living in, it can push to change also the way we're living. And I've been working in healthy architecture for almost 15 years, and I've seen a lot of change because like 15 years ago, I was this hippie perro flauta that's working with biomaterials, and now people takes me like serious. I mean, no, really, it's been a lot of change, so that's a lot of hope, and we have the tools, so it's just working on right now.
Thank you to the four of you for inspiring us. Thank you of all the people that resisted today for your time and your questions, your input, and thanks for sharing this space, because the cheapest and easiest action we can do to improve or at least avoid the climate and environmental situation from getting worse is to start talking about it. So thank you very much, and until the next time. And thank you to Paula for sure.
First, thank you for this table. You have a double merit. I say in Spanish, muchísimas gracias, porque realmente el mérito es doble, porque aguantaron hasta última hora y mantuvieron la atención, que eso es doble. So now only need 5 minutes more for C. Fernando Valladares. Fernando holds PhD in Biological Science from Complutense University of Madrid. He serves as researcher professor at CSIC, and Fernando is not only a prominent figure in the field of science communication in Spain, but also he represents how a researcher with a world-class scientific area can disseminate knowledge to the society. With this video, we close our session. Técnicas, por favor, el último video y ya está.
Our health. There is growing evidence that a degraded environment makes us sick, and also that a healthy environment heals us. Climate change is the main environmental challenge facing humanity at this time. It generates tens of millions of deaths from direct and indirect causes, including the impact of extreme events, the spread of infectious diseases, human migrations, and crises in water availability and food production. The American Medical Association declared in 2022 that we are in a public health crisis due to the ecological threat that directly undermines the levels of health and well-being that our societies have achieved over the last century. Britt Ray, chair in the Climate Mental Health in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at the Stanford Medical School, has shown that the consequences of climate change on mental health are as varied as they are profound. Not only do extreme weather events have a direct influence, but the information received awakens a whole range of emotions that cause discomfort, suffering, and even anxiety and stress disorders. The Global South has hardly driven global warming, but is suffering terribly from the impacts of climate change. No one escapes climate change. While the improved infrastructure and technologies available in the Global North cushion some of the impacts of climate change on people's health and mental and physical health, both are profoundly affected, particularly mental health in the Global North. From eco-anxiety to solastalgia, from stress to anxiety, and from depression to suicide, the statistics are chilling, revealing a rapid growth of mental disorders resulting from climate change, especially in the youngest. A macro study by Susan Clayton and collaborators, published in Sustainability 2023, found that it is women, youth, and the populations of the poorest countries who have higher levels of ecological anxiety. This work analyzes that the root of these differences lies in the discrimination that underlies the patriarchal and capitalist system. The analysis of eco-anxiety cannot be separated from social conditions, cultural factors, and prevailing ideologies and worldviews, since risks in the face of threats do not depend only on scientific information received, but also on learned emotional dynamics, which play a transcendental role. Eco-anxiety is a response to a world whose hegemonic mandates are not liked, cannot be complied with, and also produce internal conflicts that are difficult to resolve. The inclusion of emotions in the public discourse of environmental activists, scientific personnel, and governmental institutions is subversive because it radically transforms society, breaking down the schemes that perpetuate inequalities among those who are supposed to have the monopoly of superior reason, free of feelings or scruples. Coupling emotions from the rule of feminine sensibility and universalizing them to use them as a valid criteria in decision-making will undoubtedly open the way to a world in which the common good is considered a good in itself. The climate crisis and its cascade of effects on people's lives and on the functioning of society offers a unique opportunity to completely rethink the model of civilization we want to be part of, starting with health, continuing with emotions, and ending with human values.